We welcome you to the NovaCare Complex in South Philadelphia, our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 training camp presented by DraftKings. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro along with Fran Duffy, and there's Alex Singleton back on the field after opening training camp on the COVID reserve list, so not in pads today, but Alex Singleton, the team's leading tackler, clearly has been cleared from the COVID-19 list, has passed 2 tests, and now gets on the practice field. And I imagine, I know Andrew Adams, Eagles safety, who the Eagles signed in free agency, also on the field. They have to be 2 of the most frustrated, most excited players to be back on the practice field on this Wednesday morning in South Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, it's been almost a week now that the Eagles have been on the field, a week today. So it's good for those guys to be back out in the field. A lot of football's been played. That being said, still a lot of football left to be played. Those guys still going to make their presence felt here in training camp. Andrew Adams, a really interesting safety group back there. We'll see where he is in the rotation. And Alex Singleton, all of those guys in that room have gotten reps with the first team. And so my guess is once he takes the practice field, and it won't be today, we'll see if it's tomorrow, we'll have another shot at being able to get with that starting group on defense.
It's interesting, Fran, asked all the time about defensive players, as you are. We saw the team in full pads yesterday. They are in full pads, obviously, today. Still no live sessions, at least no live sessions on Tuesday. So, Fran, I mean, I always resist the temptation to say this defensive player looks good, that defensive player looks good, because honestly, until they tackle, I'm reserving judgment.
I will say, I think that defensive player has looked good.
Yeah.
Number 97,
he's
Javon
quick.
Hargrave has been really, really good so far. Maybe it's the number, because Malik Jackson was always a great training camp player as well when he was here in Philadelphia. But Javon Hargrave, whether it's been one-on-ones, team sessions, he's wrapping up running backs at the line of scrimmage. And as you said, you take it with a grain of salt without pads. But he has just flashed every single day at practice, which really good sign for this Eagles defense.
You know, back on Monday, we said, hey, welcome to our coverage here. We've got a big week ahead. We're now in the middle of the week, and it's been an excellent week out here at training camp. We look forward to Harold Carmichael going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on Saturday night. Make sure you tune in to all of our coverage from Canton, Ohio. And then Sunday, we welcome you to Lincoln Financial Field. The Eagles having an open to the public practice, one of 2 open to the public practices this summer. Tickets just $10. Practice begins at 7 o'clock. It's a great time for the family, and you get to check out the field. We're only giving you a taste of what the Eagles are all about here. If you go, you're going to love it all the way, and you're going to see young guys like 4th-round draft pick Zach McPherson, who Fran has certainly, again, I'm going to reserve caution, but at the cornerback position has opened some eyes. He looks good out there.
He's had hands on the football pretty much every single day at practice, and even if he's not intercepting it, he is getting it on the ground. He's been around the football. He had a couple nice stops yesterday on the screen game, so you see him defeating blocks out in the perimeter. He's working with special teams. So Zach McPherson, you know how some guys, Dave, like they get here, and you can just kind of get a sense that he gets it. And watching Zach McPherson, you feel like he's one of those players that the coaches really, really like.
And we'll find out when the pads go on, and then they're going. And Fran, I also want to see him against players who he's not familiar. He's got all the reads down on this wide receiver group, as they do on him. So we also welcome next week. We'll see the opening of the preseason against the Pittsburgh Steelers at Lincoln Financial Field. Steven Nelson going against his former team. And then the Patriots come to town, the Jets come to town, or rather the Eagles go to the Jets. A month of football here that is just chock full of differences and different players we're going to see and different matchups, and really give the Eagles a great opportunity to find the best 53 players on the roster. Steven Nelson, I wish I could read your lips right there. What did you read there, Fran?
I didn't read anything. I'm just excited because you mentioned the fact that we've got preseason next week. Obviously, the Hall of Fame game this week. That means that starting this week, I believe the number is 29. So for 29 straight weeks, there will be football on your TV sets, which is a great time of year.
And he'll be playing a lot of football on your TV set. Devontae Smith out at practice, not going to take part in it with that knee injury, officially listed as week to week. Again, not a lot of concern that this is going to go anywhere close to the regular season. But the Eagles do, and I thought it was interesting hearing what Nick Sirianni said about it. They want to get Devontae a lot of reps, but there's really no official timetable for his return. So everybody who's been reading 2 to 3 weeks, those are reports from outside the team. The team saying nothing official, no timetable. Let's just get Devontae healthy and get him back on the field.
Yeah, and a great start to camp before the injury for Devontae Smith, and we'll see what he looks like. Obviously, how fast he's able to get back, but a guy that had a really strong start, and you expect that to continue once he returns to the field.
And so the Eagles officially activating Andrew Adams off of that COVID reserve list, and to make a corresponding roster move, the team waives Nate Meadors, who the team signed in free agency. Fran, kind of a name that nobody really knows, but the Eagles wanted to take a look at him and clearly decided that what they have here is pretty good, and they're pretty happy with it right now. Nate Meadors, we wish you the best of luck finding a job with another one of the 31 teams. Ryan Kerrigan back on the football field. That's good to see. He had the right thumb wrist, or the right thumb wrapped. He still does have that wrap, but he's on the field and ready to practice. And I can't wait to see. That's what he's like, one of the guys I want to see more than anybody when the lights go on and there's a live period, because we've seen him for 10 years just terrorize the Philadelphia Eagles and the rest of the NFC and the rest of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, we have a sense here in Philadelphia of just how impactful that backup defensive line can be. And so if those guys come in, they're fresh, no matter who is paired with him at defensive tackle or defensive end, those guys come in fresh, that really can mean a lot to this Eagles defense.
Travis Fulgham, Eagles wide receiver. That's a position group that we are watching very closely, with and without the number 1 draft pick, Devontae Smith. Travis has all the talent. Just got to put it together.
He had a good day yesterday, one-on-ones. He had 3 or 4 wins, ran some really crisp routes. He got matched up against Darius Slay a number of times in one-on-one drills, had a couple of nice catches there. He's just been solid every single day. It hasn't been that he's had a bad day, but it was good to see him really come back with a couple of big catches on Tuesday.
And one of the really impressive young players here, this draft class has been solid so far.
Yeah.
Milton Williams, I mean, it's just obvious he's just so quick off the ball.
As he's continuing to figure it out too, in terms of his overall rush plan, how to attack offensive linemen, he's going to line up and down the line of scrimmage. We saw him more at defensive end yesterday with Ryan Kerrigan on the sideline, so showing off that versatility. But this guy is so quick. He's got natural power to him. He can win in a lot of different ways. Once he puts it all together, he is going to be a really, really fun player on this defense.
And our focus, as always, is on the quarterback position. The red jerseys, which means do not touch. Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco, Nick Mullins, and Jalen, I thought yesterday, threw the ball pretty darn well. Michael Clay, special teams coordinator, young guy, but certainly great energy, commanding on the field. And today in the special teams work that we're going to take a look at here, Fran, it is kickoff returns. So I do want to talk about kickoff returns and how the Eagles last year. Boston Scott averaged 21.1 yards per kickoff return, 28 returns, ranked 12th in the NFL. Jason Huntley, 18 yards, Corey Clement, 22 yards. Now, you wonder, okay, so how much of a difference is it really from the bottom, or the middle rather, to the top of the NFL? I'm going to tell you right now. Andre Roberts averaged 30 yards a return from Buffalo. Chicago's Cordero Patterson, 29.1 yards.
Now at Atlanta, who the Eagles will see in week 1.
Yeah, and just like the prototype kickoff return man.
Sure.
Big, strong, fast, breaks tackles. Isaiah Rodgers from Indianapolis, 28.8. So you're talking about a 9 to 10 yard difference. That is huge.
Almost a full first down. I mean, that's what you're looking for. And you hear special teams coaches talk about that all the time. Whether you're kick return or punt return, is if you're able to get your offense an extra first down, you get them an extra set of downs. That is huge for a return man. And it's interesting with the changed rules for kickoffs and kickoff returns, with them moving up the point where the kickoffs can be made. Obviously, we're seeing more touchbacks. And so people look at the value of the kick return as maybe not as high as it was 5, 8, 9 years ago. But I think when you ultimately, those guys that can be those game breakers, still very important for your football team.
Honestly, I'm certainly speaking as a couch quarterback here, but I'm kicking it to the goal line against everybody, and I'm trusting my coverage units to go down there and smother prior to reaching the 25-yard line. I would feel good about that, given some of these numbers. Where only, 6 players in the league averaged more than 25 yards a return last year, and I'm going to take my chances and say my coverage team can do the job. Now, obviously, that is not what most believe because they don't. There's a lot more kickoff. There's a lot more touchbacks than there are kickoff returns. But I just, if I'm a special teams coordinator, I'm playing coverage.
You know what, too? I feel like, and this is something that we start kind of getting into the weeds here, a lot of coaches will say that special teams is so important because of the juice that it gives your offense and your defense when they come out in the field. When your special teams, when your kickoff coverage unit can get a stop inside the 25 or inside the 20, the defense coming out in the field, they've got all kinds of juice. They are excited, and now the offense is working from a backed-up situation. So I think, to your point, I think that strategy is right on because I think it's worth the risk. Let them return, and let's see if we can get them stopped back.
All right, so who's returning kickoffs for the Eagles? We've got, Boston Scott will be there. John Hightower will be there. Kenny Gainwell will be there. Kerryon Johnson getting some kickoff returns. You want to take a look at a lot of different players, and this is kind of a great thing about the preseason. If there's actually games, you can actually look in a preseason game and give your players some sort of period of evaluation on the field rather than doing it in a non-live situation in practice.
Exactly, and it's important to remember, some guys have a lot of experience returning kicks, going back to high school, going back to college. Some guys, it's new, and you want them to be able to make an impact. You want them to have to do it because that might be their way to get on the roster. Jason Huntley, you would think if he's going to be on the 53-man roster, he's going to have to be present with the special teams units, whether it's as a return man or as a coverage guy. And so when you look at all of these guys returning kicks, it's important to note how many of them have experience, and if they don't have that experience, how are they doing? How are they adjusting to that new role?
And Kenny Gainwell, interesting. You're looking for speed back there. I think you're looking for, obviously, somebody who's going to hold on to the football.
Yep.
Somebody's going to be physical. Kenny Gainwell, is he big enough to be in that role at 200 pounds? Whether that's generous or not, I don't know. But is he big? Is he big enough? Boston Scott has proven that he's strong enough to do it. I guess you'd kind of love to have that big. I mean, to me, Cordero Patterson is the ideal body size, all of that, and Eagles just don't have that kind of player.
Yeah, it's certainly a specialized skill set to be a really, really good return man. And it also is different, too. Punt returns and kickoff returns, I think a lot of people will say, oh, it's basically the same thing. It is very, very different. Kickoff return, you've got a little bit more time for things to develop. Punt return, you might catch the ball and have a defender in your face immediately. So it takes a certain kind of guy to be able to be a punt returner for sure.
Who's punt returning on this team? Is it Jalen Reagor?
So we've seen Jalen Reagor. Obviously, when Devontae Smith was healthy, he was back there. We've seen Kenny Gainwell back there. We've seen Avonte Maddox taking reps back there, which I know he did last summer as well. Yeah, we've seen I would say 4 or 5 different players back there taking punt returns, but certainly more with the kick return department.
This is our coverage, continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles Training Camp 2021 here at the NovaCare Complex. Our coverage presented by DraftKings. Thank you very much, DraftKings, our great friends there. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro along with Fran Duffy. We're having some fun here as the Eagles going through their warm-ups, getting ready for a full pads day of practice. Let's see what they got going on here. The handoff exchange. Nothing spectacular there. Looks clean, Fran. You want to put it deep into the belly, and hold it high and tight. And Miles Sanders, yeah, we're looking at you for ball security.
So people may look at this drill and wonder, like, all right, do they do the same thing every day? What they're doing here,
yes.
Yes, in a way, for sure. But what they're doing is they're practicing the footwork and the ball exchange for all the runs that they're going to be installing today. So obviously there's lots of different runs in the playbook. All of the things that they'll go through are going to be things that they're going to do in practice throughout the day. That's one of the things you'll watch for individual drills and some of the stuff that they do early. That'll be a little bit of a teaser for things you'll see later. So if you join us for our live practice on Sunday over at Lincoln Financial Field, you get there early, you watch the individuals, give you a little bit of a clue as to what you'll see later on in the evening.
Yes, get down to Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday. The start of practice 7 o'clock. Fran likes to get there about 5:30 to watch the players come out and stretch.
You got to take everything in.
Yeah. I kind of casually get out there a little later, look at some drills. I say to myself, wow, I've been watching this for now 30 years of practice. Jason Kelsey with the bucket hat. Lane Johnson, who should have a hat on, bald guy. Protect your head from the sun. There we go. Little throw from Joe Flacco rolling right. Little waggle right to Boston Scott. Interesting. I would expect, Fran, that we will see running backs more involved in the pass game. We hope get him into space. There's Jordan Howard, who's really come a long way, even in his time as a Philadelphia Eagle, catching the football. I remember when the Eagles traded for him, the rap was, this guy's not going to catch the ball at all. Not bad.
No, we remember the touchdown catch he had out in Green Bay. That was a huge play in that game. He certainly is a guy that can be a reliable pass target. And what was fun about the running backs, too, we've talked a lot about them as pass catchers. Yesterday, with the pads on for the first time, we got to see them for the first time go through pass protection drills. And I thought one guy that really stood out there was Kerryon Johnson. And to me, that was to be expected. Kerryon, going back and watching film on him the last couple of years in Detroit, he's one of the best pass protectors in the league at the running back spot. That's a value that he certainly brings to that running back room. He is an outstanding pass protector, something that he'll look to pass on, certainly, to a lot of these other guys in that backfield.
That's good to know, Fran, because I'll be interviewing Kerryon Johnson post-practice today. Looking forward to that conversation. A new daddy, his daughter born in June, so I'm going to talk to him about the diaper patrol. I'm sure he's missing it.
Yep.
Everybody loves changing out the poopy diapers. Now let's take a look at these running backs and how they catch the ball, how softly they catch it, and just transfer it to the high and tight carry. Now, there's a distinct difference. You'll see, like Kenny Gainwell, the Eagles have talked about, as Jamal Singleton, the running backs coach there, talked about how soft his hands are, how natural a pass catcher he is, and that's going to be a big weapon for the Eagles in this offense. I believe they will try to get Kenny Gainwell out in all kinds of space and move him around the formation and do things, Fran, that we really haven't seen done with a lot of running backs. Let's take a look at this rep. There he is.
There he is.
Kenny Gainwell. What can you do with him, Fran, in this offense?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you go back and watch Kenny Gainwell when he was at Memphis, and he opted out last year, so didn't play in 2020. So you go back to 2019, it wasn't, when you talk about him as a receiver, it's not just swing passes and screen game. Oh, you throw him a Texas route here and there. They would move him into the slot. They would line him up at X receiver, Dave, and he would run fades and sluggos and dig routes and slants. You see him run all these different wide receiver routes. And then not only that, but then you see him adjust to the football and make plays on the ball that running backs simply don't make on a consistent basis. You watch guys coming out of college, you do not see players make these kinds of plays on the football from the running back position. And so Kenny Gainwell, as a receiver, special in that category. Now, he's not a explosive, dynamic athlete from like a pure elite standpoint, but this guy has got plenty of quickness, plenty of short area burst. He can be that kind of matchup weapon in the NFL.
Give me a player comp.
So a lot of people will throw the Nyheim Hines comp out there, and I think that makes sense because Hines, when he was at NC State, was very similar and was moved all around the formation, and certainly that has come through in the NFL. Ironically enough, that's a player that has plenty of experience in this offense working with Nick Sirianni in Indianapolis.
I'm going to look up some Nyheim Hines stats.
Lots of catches. We'll just say that. Lots of catches in that offense. And a big part of the rotation, they've really kind of been a running back by committee out there in Indianapolis over the last few years. And I remember watching Gainwell, actually, the very first game, Dave, that I brought my son to. I brought him to a Temple football game back in the fall of 2019. It was October of that year, and it was against Memphis. And one of the best players on the field that day was this freshman running back, Kenny Gainwell, and he was outstanding that day. Temple coming up with the W, though, the only loss for Memphis that season.
Okay, so Nyheim Hines, who played for the Colts last year, in 16 games, 380 rushing yards. In his career, he's had 48 games. Last year, those 68 receptions, 63 receptions, 4 touchdowns. In his career, he's got 170 receptions, entered the league in 2018, so he's been 3 years in the league for the Colts, and those reception totals, 63, 44, 63. Not bad.
Yeah, it's a lot of catches.
226 rushing attempts and, 170 catches. So good balance there.
Yeah, he's been a big part of the passing game every time he's been on the field, like I said. So that's certainly the kind of role you can envision for Kenny Gainwell.
There's Avonte Maddox, who's been playing in the nickel slot, in the nickel spot with now Steven Nelson and Darius Slay outside. A good fit for the Eagles, who last year kind of tried to move. Let's look at these quarterback drills. I like what the quarterback drills are doing here. Fran, let's talk about moving in the pocket ball security, throwing on the run.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here, I really like this drill. You're seeing the quarterbacks take the snap, drop back, have to step up, watch how they protect the football from the apparatus there that quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson's holding. He's trying to stab the football out, but you have to keep your eyes upfield and then deliver it accurately. You got all the bodies around them, so you've got the defenders there. You've got to work with the bodies around you and then deliver accurately. We've seen a couple balls go in some of those nets, but it's a tough task. That's not an easy drill.
Yeah, and listen, that's going to be the challenge. And for me, with looking at Jalen Hurts, we all know about the athletic ability, what the damage he can do outside of the pocket, but how he works that pocket, the success he has throwing the football from different angles in that pocket, whether there's pressure, no pressure, that to me is going to be the telltale just how good Jalen Hurts can be. Yeah,
and that's pretty much everybody will say that is still the hallmark of being able to play effectively at the quarterback position. You can make all those plays outside of structure for sure. You can go out, make those plays with your legs. You still need to be able to win from the pocket, navigate the pocket. And so that'll be a big test here for Jalen Hurts moving into what will be ultimately his 5th start. Remember, he just started 4 games last year.
We are continuing our coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 training camp here at the NovaCare Complex. Our coverage presented by DraftKings. Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, that's me. Our X's and O's guru, host of the Journey to the Draft, our Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, our daily look at training camp, news and notes, Fran Duffy, who's doing it along with Chris McPherson and Ben Fennell. You guys having fun doing that?
We're having a blast every single day. And these are pretty short, compact podcasts. We're talking like 25 minutes, so you can listen to it as you're doing the dishes, as you're driving, taking a quick drive. Knock it out and get everything you missed from today's practice, because there's a lot of action every single day.
Indeed, there is. We take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles as they get. We're only 1 week out and 1 day. We're 8 days away from the preseason opener at Lincoln Financial Field against the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, let's talk about this drill. Get off the ball and stay low.
Get off the ball, stay low. You need the reaction quickness. So as soon as that ball moves, you see him get off the ball, and now you're just trying to find that target. So they'll start with a stationary target, and then you'll see as they try to transition, they'll start to do it where the defensive line coach will be back there behind that coach holding the football and point one way or the other. And then you're looking for those guys to be able to put their foot in the ground and retrace, play sideline to sideline.
Really want to see even the little instant of hesitation. Who's the quick? A little late off the ball right there. You know what I mean? Like if you look at one player versus another player,
absolutely see it.
You really do see it. It's very, very graphic. It's really striking.
And the closer you get to the ball, those milliseconds matter. So when you're playing down there with lots of bodies, when you have more traffic around you, those little slivers of seconds mean a whole lot. And so you want those guys that have that quick twitch to be able to get out of their stance and get upfield, get into the backfield, and wreak havoc.
That might be Javon Hargrave on the far end there. Let's see how quickly he gets off the ball, because he's been blowing people up in this training camp.
We're moving.
Come on. Get back to that. Get back to that.
There you go.
They just did the drill.
You see quarterback still. Looked like Darius Slay not practicing today as well. So interested to see who is the corner that plays opposite Steve Nelson here with the first team.
Yeah,
defense.
Who steps up? Is it Craig James? Is it Zach McPherson? It'll be interesting to see who they do. Even though we are early, there is some semblance of a depth chart in the coach's minds and Howie Roseman's mind. So we'll see exactly how that lines up with some of these key veterans. Who's your backup center's Luke Jurega, I guess.
Yeah, and again, that's the thing with the offensive line too, is so many guys have that positional versatility. So Luke Jurega has been working there, but that also means Nate Herbig has been working with the first team left guard with Isaac Seumalo out. When Seumalo's healthy, is Nate Herbig the backup center, or is Jurega? It makes it a little bit complicated there in the trenches.
And then right tackle with Lane Johnson not practicing today as a rest day. I'm going with Jack Driscoll.
That would be my guess as well. He's a guy that has really battled every single day. It's been fun to see him work against Ryan Kerrigan, against Brandon Graham, some of the young defensive ends like Teron Jackson as well. So it's been fun watching Jack Driscoll work every day.
We're taking a look at the quarterbacks. We're taking a look at the wide receivers. Let's take a look at the quarterbacks throwing to the wide receivers. And we've got Joe Flacco doing just that. There we go. And the catch, maybe a little juggle there in the end zone upon contact. Zach Ertz clearly is getting a Veterans Day as well.
Yep.
On this overcast but seasonal Wednesday, the heat is going to be turned up starting on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week. We're going to be in the mid-90s, it's projected. So we're enjoying this cooler weather now while we can get it, but it sure as heck is not going to be long.
It'll be a beautiful day then for Sunday, and it'll be obviously a little bit later in the day, so hopefully cool down a little bit by that point as we see Hakeem Butler, the former 4th-round pick by the Arizona Cardinals, with the catch there.
And what are we running here, Fran? We're running tight ends or in tight here. What are we running? A little slants? What are we doing here?
Yeah, it looks like it's routes on air. It looks like they're down close to the red zone. So again, more likely, I would say that they are working on routes that they will be running in practice today. That's typically the drill. Is you're going to try and go through the motions of things that you're going to be running in some of these team periods later today.
I like this angle here. Shows you the quarterback and the pass catcher all at once.
We see Jalen Hurts here.
And he throws there to Richard Rodgers.
There we go.
Had a nice season last year.
He did. He certainly did. Obviously, a lot of injuries in that tight end room, so Richard Rodgers was leaned on heavily during that middle stretch of the season, and he came through. He had a big game against the New York Giants, I remember correctly.
Yes, he did. The 22-21 comeback victory at Lincoln Financial Field.
That's right.
That was the first home game I've missed in, 30 years, because I was in close proximity to a reporter who tested positive for COVID. Jalen Reagor with the catch. It was awful. I watched it on TV. It was absolutely an awful feeling.
I got to think that you're just like, no one be near me as I'm watching this game.
Pretty much. Here we go, little route to the corner. John Hightower.
One of your guys, flashed every day.
I mean, I've seen him flash every day. We'll see what happens when he goes into the, world of the preseason against other players. But I think John Hightower is really fast, and he's caught the ball well. Hey, Jalen Hurts getting jiggy with it.
He's gotten better every day, Jalen. I feel like he's really kind of settled in. He had a good day on Tuesday. It's good. It's been good to see him get better as camp has gone on.
Yeah, and we all expected some ups and downs, some inconsistencies, and that's pretty much what we've gotten here. Nobody's seemingly overly worried about Jalen Hurts. He's going to work harder than everybody else to get better. So let's see what he does here as camp progresses and we get into the preseason.
We see Nick Sirianni there. We see Shane Steichen. As we see the undrafted free agent, Jack Stoll, for the tight end from Nebraska, coming up with the catch.
A lot of tight ends here, friend. We talked about them and how a lot of them come from different positions. Yep. Butler was a wide receiver, and Jackson was a quarterback, and Stoll's the only one, I think, who's been
tight end through and through.
Yeah, of the new guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jason Kroom was a receiver when he was down at Tennessee. So a lot of those guys making that conversion. And you see that, honestly, you see it all around the NFL. That's definitely a position where you're seeing a lot of guys make the switch from other positions, whether it's from defense or quarterback or receiver. Just looking at all these. Richard Rodgers, I believe early on at Cal, started as a receiver, may have arrived there as a wide receiver, and obviously has grown in to his tight end frame. He's been in the NFL now for a handful of years, but that is the way it goes at that position for sure.
I wonder what it's like for Mike Quick to look out there and see John Hightower wearing number 82, or all the number 82s in Eagles history.
Yeah.
How odd it must feel. Probably not by this point. Mike's got other things to be happy about. He doesn't worry about his jersey number.
He's got a tea time to worry about here.
Yeah, every day.
Probably at 1 o'clock, yeah.
Every day. Although he will be in Canton, Ohio this weekend as we celebrate the induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame of the great Harold Carmichael, the all-time receptions leader in franchise history. Touchdowns, 79 as well. Yards, almost 7,000 yards. And then, of course, Sunday, we welcome you all to Lincoln Financial Field, our first of 2 open to the public practices starting at 7 o'clock. Tickets just $10. All proceeds go to Eagles Autism Foundation. Dave Spadaro, Fran Duffy with you here this morning. Our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 training camp presented by DraftKings. We're live from the NovaCare Complex. We will be back tomorrow with more right here, 10 o'clock. Make sure you're with us. And between now and then, make sure you're with us throughout our PhiladelphiaEagles.com channels, our official app, our social media network, everything. We got you covered, start to finish. Philadelphia Eagles. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Dave Spadaro, Fran Duffy saying, have yourselves a great Eagles day. And as always, fly, Eagles, fly.